Nisam Bulavinaka, bonjour, kia ora, and a very warm welcome to a brand new season of the Pacific Way. The Pacific Way team has been traveling around the region to bring you stories that matter to Pacific people. From Tokelau to Niue and up the highlands of Fiji, covering stories of resilience, human perseverance, and sharing successes that have helped change lives. This year, the Pacific has come together to celebrate the upcoming decade of oceans and to acknowledge the importance of ocean science. This decade will see nations work together to generate the science needed to support the sustainable development of our shared ocean. And in this season of the Pacific Way, we will also feature for you stories and performances from the Festival of Pacific Arts as we build up to FestPac 2020, which will be hosted by Hawaii. But first, we take you to Kiribati, where the conclusion of an 8-year water and sanitation project has brought a new lease of life for 35 villages across the 16 islands of the Gilbert Group.
Dugtanigan dari pun kakak ina kui. Ayah seterai bayar hari ya pun dek camarak ayah sok. Katu apung kangai pun ibu dugtanan temaku ni naik ke ibu bukin kain na tau. Nayangin tetai hari pun ibu bukin bukia nasu pun na umaku ni mana ke. Kuruk kari yokamai. Karena ya kira sense ke ngaya yokamai ro
Tom and his wife live with their extended family on the island of Abiang in the Republic of Kiribati. Kiribati is made up of 32 atolls spreading over 3.5 million square kilometers. Of the 32 atolls, only 20 are inhabited. Kiribati society has been living in tune with their land and surrounding ocean for centuries, and with this have also been managing changes to their environment. Across all the atolls, as in Abiang, coconut and fish makes up most of their diet and are also the main source of income.
Cobra cutting, weighing cobra, selling fish. Only some people are employed by the local government, the country itself, and some are employed in several businesses.
People living on the atolls use a local ingenuity to draw water from their wells. Designed by the locals, the Tamana pump can be seen in almost every village and settlement. However, these water catchments are often not safe for drinking or cooking, as most of the wells are open without a cover or apron.
Wakan dikit jalan setai anga yang itu tadi kaki, yang angin tetai semua intak karau bayar hari, kangai pun ngai hari jalaneskiroi, akan ada nanti teman itu ngai kita tahu kangai, pun makin dah ya ipitakin asa karun dan main lagi, kangai angin te jalan teman itu kangai rara ruam metanan nauski, akhirnya kokonani sia to, karena aku sia jaya nampakis. Kau isi men teman itu orang awasnya nak orang maus, orang kainan ugai bare. Yarun kau pipi kat terawawa taring, karuan tetap ada kainan waktu.
You know that at this time we are facing a heavy drought, so one of the major the basic needs of the people is the water and sanitation, especially on water, because we are having less rainfall.
Families are forced to collect drinking water from neighboring villages.
Before we don't use our well here. We use others' well, and we take the water there for cooking and drinking. But for washing, bathing, no problem.
The consumption of contaminated water has led to serious health problems for those living in the outer atolls.
Before, when I was young, actually we used to drink our water in our house, but my family just realized later that because I got some sores happen in my skin and also in my legs, and we tried to find the way to cure it, and we went to the hospital, take some, but some nurses before, they say that it happened because of the water. It's not so clean, not so well. We should boil the water to make sure that it's coming into a boiling temperature before we drink.
The lack of proper sanitation and toilet facilities has been a major health concern across the Kiribati atolls.
Basically, the needs of the communities for them to, raise their standard of living, and improve the health of their children, especially, with the health-related diseases, with the children. This is where the importance is to make sure that we have access to clean water, to improve the behavior of people in stopping open defecation, and also, with the health part of it, have people be able to, wash their hands with soap, which is not always a practice.
In 2014, the European Union, in partnership with the Pacific Community and the government of Kiribati, initiated the second phase of the water and sanitation in the outer islands of the Republic of Kiribati, or the Kiriwatsan 2 project, to increase access to safe and sustainable water and sanitation and reduce water, sanitation and hygiene-related diseases. The design of Phase 2 was guided by and built on the work done under the preceding Kiriwatsan Phase 1 project, which was also funded by the European Union and co-implemented through UNICEF and SPC. In addition to community education and behavior change initiatives, Kiriwatsan 1 undertook a series of water resource assessments which enabled a thorough and informed consultation process with each of the 35 participating villages under Phase 2 across the 16 islands of the Gilbert Group.
I've actually been around all those 35 villages across, the 8 islands, and I think some of the challenges that they faced, like drinking water sources, are located away from the village. Some of the villages don't have good groundwater, meaning their water is brackish, too salty. And so, they travel out, a fair bit of distance each day to ensure that they have drinking water for either, drinking and cooking. So, that has been some of the challenges. Also, the onus, falling on kids, helping their parents to go and get water. Often they're late for school, such things like that.
In Phase 1 of the project, UNICEF subcontracted the Pacific Community to conduct the water resources assessments across the 35 villages.
As for the scope of the project, we were expected to undertake water resource assessment in general. That includes both groundwater and rainwater harvesting capacities, and with the hope that the assessment and the results that we were going to establish from the assessment would guide the implementation or the improvement of water supplies and sanitations in these outer island communities. Part of the scope was also to undertake capacity building within the Ministry of Public Works, particularly within the Water and Sanitation Engineering Unit, and which also extends into the island water technicians who are recruited and engaged by the ministry. The quality of data was really encouraging, as you probably know that most of these findings are now being used by the phase 2 of the project, where they are successfully developing water supply infrastructures, and the feedback that we've been receiving to date is really encouraging. So it points, or it again reflects the quality of data that we were using.
Each of the 35 villages have their rainwater harvesting tanks, communal wells or individual well improvements with Tamana pumps or village reticulated wells using low-yielding solar submersible powered pumps installed to provide water.
Say the solar reticulated system, we call it the village well. So you have the sun intensity of about 4 to 5 hours, and only during that time the pump can work, the submersible pump, to pump water up to the header tank. And then you could imagine the header tank is about 10,000 liters of water. So for each of those systems, it's designed for about 200 or less people. So if it's more than 200, then we put in like 2 village wells in that village. And also the communities will be trained on how they will have to manage. So is it a timing during the morning or the afternoon? They agree so that they turn on the system and people get drinking water.
In June 2019, as the 5-year project neared completion, the residents on Mayana Island were the first to commemorate the handing over ceremony of the installed infrastructure. The freshwater sources located in each village has come as a blessing for the communities.
Tebuton nongorongari is merokin ng konon te mokora Mayana pon sumon na meta kaitaw at karaparapa nakon te karijak ayo sumon na kaitaw nanga nakon te tona at te European Union data ke ma te species ada ngai bari aron makurian te karijak kayo awan data ke ma te Kiriwatsan na ngai ya era patana te makurayo yo na makura Kiribati sabon nga panaran ka kaitaw banan te bodon nam tar banan tau tek nakon te karikya kayo ba sinoria ba monte ka kawak anu pongan ibukia kain Kiribati tikin te makura Mayana kai tapalin nan Mayana ka kaitaw ya kain Mayana sa kaitaw ina ba kain sa kaitaw na ibukia kain Mayana sa kaitaw na ibukia kain Kiribati nakon te rabata ada ngai ya karoko te karikya kayo yo na rab makura ka kakor ka Kiribati.
The 5-year, multi-million-dollar project would not have been possible without the strong relationship between SPC and the EU.
Well, access to clean water and sanitation is a basic human right, currently denied to at least half of the populations in our region. And so improving access to water and sanitation improves opportunities for economic development, as well as reduction in wash-related diseases for small island states. Partnerships are essential in the implementation of projects such as Kiriwatsan. In this case, the partnership between the European Union and the Pacific Community has been important in the successful implementation of the project. It's also a recognition by development partners and their confidence in organizations like ours that we have the technical skills and expertise to assist member states find local solutions to local problems.
People, young people, children who are now there have somehow the trust and confidence that when they grow up in 10, 20, 30, 60 years, there will be still an environment where they can live, where there will be safe water, and where they feel secure. Because if this is not the case, they will migrate, and that means, as I said, that it has to be an infrastructure in place, which is reliable, which has to be also managed. So it's important to have asset management. If through EU programs there are water tanks, or there are pipes, or there is groundwater access, then of course this needs also maintenance. And that's a big challenge also, because you need then technicians involved. You need the local population involved most of all, but then you also need technicians involved, the ministries, different partners have to gear up, and there has to be some funding available for this asset management. That's one aspect. The other one is change of behavior. It's a crucial area as well, so that the population understands how precious water is and how much they can contribute themselves.
For the thousands of people across Kiribati, their lives will inevitably change for the better.
Welcome back. This is the Pacific Way. As our region's premier cultural event, the Festival of Pacific Arts has a long and distinguished history that the Pacific community, as custodian, is proud to be closely associated with. Since it was first staged in 1972, the festival has honored and celebrated the rich diversity of Pacific peoples and provided a platform to share our region's cultural knowledge and traditions. Today, we leave you with this performance of the meke from the Fiji delegation in the Solomon Islands. You can check out all our latest news and videos on the Pacific Community YouTube channel and the Pacific Way Facebook page. Until next week, Tsapo, Lukimu, and goodbye.
We represent the National Youth Band Training Center, which is administered by the Ministry of Youth and Sports. Our young people are from all over Fiji. We took in young people who cannot make it to tertiary education. So for the government program, it's a second chance program for our young people. Those who cannot afford a higher education but are musically inclined, they have talents and skills. So National Youth Band is there for them. The meke malungu, or the meke wau, and the meke wesi, which is the spear dance, and the wakamalolo, and the shea by the ladies. The spear and the wau dance depicts the old days when our forefathers used to do and wage war against each other during the cannibal days. So those basically what the spear and the malungu dance, wau dance represents. As you can hear, the lyrics of the dance is waging war and all those The difference with the girls' dance, the shea, it's like a celebratory dance. When our men have returned from the war, the shea is there to welcome them. And likewise for the Wagamalolo, it's a celebratory mekis. But for spear and wow, it depicts our old warrior days. Our forefather used to fight each other, the tribal wars. But now we just represent that during our traditional performances here in the Pacific Festival.